worlds will say, well, we should spend it on robots. We shouldn't spend it on people. I think crewed space exploration is in some ways, I mean, it's clearly true at the moment that humans can do more than robots, so we can explore the place better.
For now.
Yeah, but I think it has to be, it's about something else. I mean, it's about, and it's not only, it's about living and working on the planet, which I think is quite a persuasive argument. We've already industrialised new Earth. It's already GPS, we're already up. And so learning to live and work in space is, I think, a natural extension of our civilization. Plus the fact that you talk to Elon or Jeff Bezos, they point out that the amount of resources available just slightly above our heads. And so I remember I talked to Jeff Bezos actually once, and he thinks really simply, and he said, for example, in the asteroid belt, there's enough metal, I think, to build a skyscraper. What is it? It's something like 800 stories tall and cover the Earth in it, right? If you want. Now, we don't want to do that. But his point was that the energy, the sun, all up there, the resources are up there. So you could almost imagine trying to zone the Earth residential at some point in the future to protect the planet and do your heavy industry off the planet, for example. And it sounds like science fiction, except that now SpaceX and Blue Origin, those people have got reusable rockets. So suddenly the economics become sensible. So I think expansion is good, and I think we will expand, and I think we will expand outwards, because there's not much room left on this planet to expand. So I think we'll do. So, but that's a whole different idea. It's not about gathering scientific information. It's about a frontier and all the benefits that come from operating civilization on a frontier, which we've lost on the Earth because there is no frontier left. And so I like that idea that Mars. And when you talk about Mars, especially with Elon, he's right that that's the only place you can go. So there is no other planet we can go to other than Mars. You can't go to Jupiter or Saturn. You can't go to Mercury or Venus. So if we want to go somewhere and expand civilization, it has to be Mars, and everything's there that you need. So, but that's a different thing. Saying that you want to find out stuff. You're right. If you just want to find out stuff, then you send robots.
But as far as expanding actual civilization and bringing it to another place, one of the things that freaks me out is people get depressed about living in Seattle.
Dropping ammo here.
I mean, you're going to live on Mars?
I wouldn't. I agree with you.
Yeah.
It'd be a horrendous thing. It'd be like the Western frontier. It's the frontier when people cross the states.
Yeah.
It's an incredibly dangerous thing to do.
But
And it's
when
far.
people cross the states, they still got to Wyoming and beautiful places, and Colorado, and
Yeah, but it was hard.
Yes.
I wouldn't have wanted to do it.
but once you got there, there's a river and there's trout in the river, and the meadows are green. And
That's right. I mean, I agree with you, right? I mean, I'm not going to go there till there are vineyards and
Yes.
hotels and things. But however, it is true that there are people who like the challenge. And what is true about Mars, it's interesting actually, because we know the history of Mars now, quite a lot about the history of Mars. And it's certainly clear that there was water, almost certainly oceans, rivers. So, and that water is almost certainly still there. So I would say certainly still there.
well, they have found large quantities of ice now, right?
Yeah, so there's certainly ice. There may even be pockets of liquid water below the surface somewhere. So couple that with all the minerals and the resources that we know are there, and you have everything you need. So that's the thing about Mars. It's quite nice relative to everywhere else other than the Earth. You can't go to Venus, right?
Right.
You just melt. It's, what is it, 400 and something degrees and 90 atmospheric pressure.
Yeah.
That's
Stand tall.
Enemies in the area.
So Mars is quite nice.
What's
Not
the gravity of Mars in relationship to the Earth?
It's what is it, about a third, I think.
Third. So it would still have a significant weight to Mars.
down.
And then if somehow were able to get back to Earth,
Yeah.
your body would have a real problem with that.
It would, but there is still gravity. It's a bit more than a third. But it's something. But yeah, so there's still gravity.
Right.
So there's gravity. There's some protection from. You probably want to live in the caves actually, or something like that. Because there's no magnetic field there, so it's
Right.
quite
Dropping
high
ammo here.
radiation, but not too. It's further from the sun than we. it's not too. There are places on Mars. There's a very deep crater called Hellas, which is a big impact basin, and at the bottom, it's so deep you could fit Everest in it. So if you put Mount Everest in there, the summit of Everest wouldn't reach the rim of the crater. So it's something like, I don't know what it is, 7 miles deep or something, 6 miles
Friendly
deep.
UAV online.
So you could go there, and at the bottom, the atmosphere pressure is so high that you could just about have liquid water
We have taken the lead.
occasionally on the floor of that crater.
Enemy
And
So
it's
they
quite
would
warm
go.
sometimes. It can be 20 degrees.
Really?
Yeah, there, Celsius.
Wow.
So,
That's
so
better than
occasion-
Minnesota right now.
Exactly, so-
Minnesota's experiencing a serious cold.
That's right. Yeah. So it can be warmer than Minnesota, and so there are places where it's not horrendous on Mars. So the Martian is kind of realistic in that sense.
Sort of.
Bits of it.
Do you watch those movies and shake
I-
your head?
I like them.
Do you?
I like science fiction.
Right.
So yeah, I don't sit there. I grew up with Star Wars. That was when I was 9 years old or something.
It's
So I don't
funny
sit there
watching
going,
it
I just
now.
don't. Yeah, I'm not having this. I had an argument with Neil deGrasse Tyson, not an argument, but a debate with him about lightsabers. Because I claim that they're physically, that in principle, they're possible. And he was trying to say that they aren't. But they are.
Would it have to loop back around because the light's not continuing to, like, the fact that it goes to a certain distance and pauses?
We'd have to have a mirror or something, I guess, yeah.
Something
That's
would have
true.
to be at the end of it.
That's true. So it'd be a different kind of lightsaber. The only point I was making is that photons, particles of light, can bounce off each other. So we see that in really high energy experiments and particle accelerators, we can collide photons together. So my point was a bit of a pedantic physicist point, but it is because it is true though that light can bounce off it. It can hit light,
Right.
but at very, very high energy.
But when they press that button, it goes to a certain distance.
I wasn't. That's
UAV
engineering.
in the area.
I agree with you. The
Well,
distance thing
there's
doesn't
also,
work.
there's
I
no
agree.
mass to it, right? Swinging it around, you wouldn't have the
Enemy UAV
leverage of
active.
a long thing. So why not make it
Dropping
really
ammo
long?
here.
Because it wouldn't be difficult to swing around. Like you could stab someone with a lightsaber a mile away.
That's true. Yeah, that's
Right?
true. Well, that's just a laser, isn't it?
Yes. Like
Friendly
UAV
why
on
make it so
station.
short?
Yeah, I
It's
agree.
ridiculous. You have to swing, you have to be close to that person with it.
Yeah.
That's a silly design.
You are picking holes correctly in the engineering part of mine. The only point I was making is the physics is that, which I think is quite interesting, is that light can
Thanks for
bounce
the
off.
profession.
Yes.
That's the point.
So, but it would have
I
to
am
be
wounded.
something that causes it to stop at the very end.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Which would be, you're right, it'd have a mirror, but it wouldn't look cool, would it, if there was a
No.
kind of thing with them?
Well, what drives me crazy about Star Wars is not the lightsabers, it's the lasers when they're shooting the guns. I'm like, why can I see that when I can't see bullets? Lasers are supposed to be way faster than a
Hostile
bullet.
UAV in
Like,
the area.
why is it easy to see this? Because it's like, you can duck.
Our
You can get out of the way of
UAV
those
in the
things.
area.
They're really slow, aren't
They're
they?
so slow.
Yeah.
I would be so angry. I'd be like, this is so dumb. I could go warp speed in this Millennium Falcon and travel the speed of light, but for whatever reason, these lasers are so slow that you could duck out of the way of them. That's
Yeah.
so dumb.
And it's not only Star Wars, it's everything.
Friendly
Every
VTOL
single film
entering the
does that.
sector.
Yeah.
Well, it's like films like. Also, I worked on one of these films years ago, Sunshine.
Oh,
the
that was
film
a
with Danny
great
Boyle.
movie. Very,
I was-
very underappreciated movie.
Yeah, I think so.
Hostiles launched a cruise missile.
But in that, so they asked me, and Danny said, I want to do it right, so I'll do the spacecraft without sound, so it's travelling through
Friendly cruise
space.
missile
It'll be
inbound.
silent. And it looks shit. Just when you watch it, it's the same when you try and film astronauts and they're in zero G and they always move slowly. It's like, why?
Right, you'd be able to move very
Move as
fast.
as you want.
Yeah.
But it looks silly. So there's kind of I suppose it's what audiences have got used to over the years. And so in the end, you
Right.
apart from 2001,
Yeah.
the silence.
Well, Kubrick was a stickler for science, and he would do complex mathematics in his spare time. What a fascinating
Friendly
guy.
UAV on station.
I read that they just someone just found an interview, didn't they, the other day where he explained the ending. I didn't see that. Yeah, I saw it yesterday actually, and it was kind of a really simple version. Well, the super intelligent beings take him in and put him in a zoo,
Dropping ammo
basically,
here.
and watch him grow old, and then send him back to the Earth as a super being. My God, that's the worst explanation for the end of 2001 I've ever heard. But it was Kubrick's. That's what Kubrick said. So
Friendly
that
UAV
he falls
online.
into the monolith.
Tax out.
Yeah, they just put him in a room, which is kind of a bad version of a French chateau or something. Watch him grow old, and then send him back to the Earth as a super being.
What? It's a weird genre, right? Because sometimes
To słuchać błędem samowodem.
Well, there was his. I mean, it depends which one. Wasn't it? There was a moon one, wasn't there? We did it. And the time. But yeah, I think it's. I always liked science fiction.
Yeah.
I like Arthur C. Clarke a lot. You know, because I think it is. You're right. It's a form that you can let your imagination wander and address things
Yeah.
without restriction.
Did you like the Alien series?
I loved it. I
Yes,
saw
me
Alien
too.
when I was at school. It was